Hey everyone, I'm Tarek Morshed with the Morshed Group at Sothebys, where we specialize in representing entrepreneurs and founders in their residential real estate needs. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Home Podcast, where we interview Austin's most successful men and women and discuss their business journeys as well as the entrepreneurial home that really empowers them to thrive, both in business and in life. During COVID, we are changing our video podcast format to deliver everything to you via Zoom with the intention of still delivering on amazing values, idea shares, as well as supporting our fellow business owners and entrepreneurs in a very challenging time.
Hey everyone, Tarek Morshed with the Morshed Group at Sothebys. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Home Podcast and the kind of unique version that we're having to do nowadays through Zoom because of COVID. Today we have Jason Crawford with Sovereignty. Man, I'm so excited to have you on here. For our listeners and viewers, as I always do, I like to kind of give a little bit of a background on our guests, at least from my personal view. And, you know, Jason is one of my number one dearest friends in life. I consider him not only a friend, but a true advisor, mentor, someone I trust, whether it's on a personal level or on a professional level, company level. It just is one of those individuals and human beings that brings so much to the table to help others, to be there for others, has a passion for entrepreneurism, has a passion for helping communities. So I'm just totally jazzed to have you on finally. I've been wanting to have you on this for a while. And I know that the timing hasn't aligned. The other things I'll also say real quickly and share with our listeners is, you know, again, when it comes to entrepreneurism, I think that we've got a golden opportunity to really listen and learn in this podcast from Jason. I've seen him scale his past companies, Bixby Zane specifically, in a very niche insurance business around workers' comp focused around construction. And I literally watched this man scale that company alongside his partner over a 3 to 4 year period beautifully, and take it to 7 million in revenues, and do it in 2 locations between Austin and California with a small team. And it was just really powerful to watch and learn from. And then watching him transition into really following his passion and purpose as it iterates today around healing people through this amazing CBD product and his company called Sovereignty, which I'll of course let you speak about. And so he started up his second journey in entrepreneurism around this industry. And so having said all that, Jason, I'm going to just let you take it from here a little bit and share with us, talk to us about your entrepreneurial journey. What had you become an entrepreneur? What got you here today? Tell us a little bit about the company today and where the vision and purpose around that is. And we'll go from there.
Sure. Sounds great. Well, I think the reason I'm an entrepreneur is because it's in my blood. Both of my grandfathers were entrepreneurs. My dad, all of his uncles were entrepreneurs. So it was just kind of the family that I grew up in and what I witnessed. When I was a teenager, I loved to work, and I got quite frustrated that it was hard to get a job when I was 13 and 14. So I just started my own businesses, all small scale operations, but I loved the energy of going out and making things happen and creating something. So got out of college and ended up starting what now became Bixby Zane, and did that for about 18 years. And a few years ago, I really leaned into what I feel is my calling. My calling is to improve people's health and wellness, both mentally, physically, and spiritually. That's where Sovereignty was born. I'd always been, I think you mentioned it, I'd always been called to be a healer and to impact people that way. And I saw this as a fantastic opportunity. I turned 40 a little while ago and realized that I'm going to absolutely commit this decade doing things that I'm passionately aligned with and really make a difference in people's lives. So that's how I ended up getting into the sovereignty side of things. Bixby's going great. Have a great business partner over there. But all along, I've always wanted to be part of multiple businesses that scale similar to the way Bixby Zane did.
Nice, nice, nice. And tell us a little bit about Bixby Zane, like when it started, and that, because that was your first business, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, first.
So, and you went to University of Texas, went to business school, and then you started Bixby Zane not too long after that, right?
Yeah, it was a real interesting deal. When I graduated, I was part of a startup in Austin, literally living off of my credit cards to pay rent, and I would use one credit card to pay another credit card. So that real, textbook story. Yeah, real textbook story of just, loving that environment. But again, that got to be a part of me. And that stuff is kind of normalcy to me throughout the years when I've had all these various ventures that I've tried, a lot of failures, and then a few nice successes. But I went to Dallas after that. I left that startup, didn't work out, and was going to get into consulting, which thank goodness I didn't, because it just would have been a great fit for me. And a guy recruited me to build this insurance book of business. He bought a group out of Florida, moved me there to build it up, and as timing would have it, they lost their ability to do insurance in Florida. So I had to take my book of business, and this was now the third time in this industry that I lost my income. It was becoming so frequent that I didn't even know what it was like to have a stable income, but lost it for the third time, took the book over, and that's what I started building up in Florida. That was on my own.
This was about when? Like what year was this?
Well, it started, I got into the industry right around 2001, and then 2002 is when the business failed with the guy that I was working with, and I spun it into my own company.
Makes sense.
I had a business partner at the time, and we built it up to one of the largest of our kind in Florida, probably in the United States at that point. And then a recession came along, and that really changed things into the new iteration of the company, which is Bixby Zane.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What had you guys pick the specialization and the niche? When we talk about entrepreneurism, when we talk about starting businesses, especially in today's environment, right? It's all what niche are you going to separate and differentiate yourself from, right? And I think there's a value in that for listeners, right? Like what was the process, or how did you come upon that? Was that something you believed in finding a niche? Because I'd never personally heard of the niche that you guys did within the insurance industry. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, we noticed early on when we were chasing the general clientele, we spent so much extra time and money trying to fit, the wrong companies with the wrong clients, with the wrong companies, because we had no specialization. And when we looked at what we enjoyed, where we thought we were very effective, and then what had the best revenue for the amount of input that we put in, it boiled down to this higher risk type of clientele. So both in Florida and in California, we targeted construction clients, hard to place clients. And when I mentioned that, those are more obscure, higher risk stuff, or clients that have large premiums, but that didn't manage it very well. So on the insurance side, on workers' comp, you don't just go get the workers' comp. You have to actively manage your program to be able to have the best offers or programs available to you. And when clients would slip, a lot of times we were able to come in and provide them a landing pad instead of these really terrible programs that were made for clients that had real bad risk. We would be there for them, and then when we were kind of managing them out of that poor time period, they'd stay with us for a real long time. So
nice.
We just noticed, and a lot of it kind of also boiled down to, on the insurance side, you can chase fewer big premiums or a lot of small ones, and a lot of small ones just require so much energy and effort. It's the same amount of work really at the end of the day. And we also gravitated, because of the clientele that we chased, after larger premiums as well. So
makes sense.
That kind of aligns with high risk.
Got it. So yeah, you guys, in essence, your model or your niche ended up being a specific type of clientele, if you will, right, within insurance world of needs. And then within that, maybe even in industries where there was a gap because there was high risk around that.
Yep.
Okay, got it. So that scaled, which, what you guys made Inc. 5,000 3 times, right, over the last several years.
Yeah.
So,
and that was based on kind of a calculated bet. In 2007, sitting in Florida in the middle of these issues, it really hadn't unfolded yet, but we could see the writing on the wall with what was going on in real estate. It really felt uncomfortable about what was to come. I had a sense there was going to be a big slowdown, and I really liked growth. So the only way I could figure out how to keep growing was to expand into another state. We'd been tracking California for a while. Insurance goes in cycles. We had predicted that it was at the bottom of the cycle, and we were pretty close to that prediction. We were about a year or two off. But we literally moved to California when things were going great, pre everything melting down. And it was the best decision we ever did. But the one reason why we succeeded with that, number one, we took a massive risk. Everyone thought we were crazy walking away from something that was working so well. But number two, we burned our boats. We did not have one foot in and one foot out. We determined that this was the correct path. We were absolutely going to make it work. And we pretty much cut off a lot of our ties and business dealings in Florida to succeed. And that paid off. We had a really horrific start. All of the business models that we had got tossed out. We had to reinvent ourselves. And unfortunately, we had a good reputation that paid off. And that's, somebody taught me real early on, don't burn bridges, number one. And then number two, really foster these relationships. When we were in California, we couldn't find the product set that we needed. So we went back to our prior vendors and said, hey, we're in California. We live there. We moved there and they're boots on the ground. We want to help you expand out there. And we got a few to bite. It was really a game changer. So as our business started maturing, we had a lot of things in motion, and we hit some really significant growth. I don't chart it, but when we left Florida, it was in the 3 million range. And then we kind of stabilized for a bit because of the recession. We came out and we're coming out to 4 million, 5, 6, 7 million, each subsequent year. And that's what ended up qualifying us for that. So it was pretty cool, fun thing to be a part of.
And definitely. And, I think you said something really key there, just thinking about our listeners and viewers here, not having 2 feet in 2 different places, even when things are going good. And if you've got your gut and instinct and you've really checked out your models, it's time to go all in, and you don't play halfway. I think it's a really huge business lesson. It's one that I think we all need a reminder on at a lot of times. I just wanted to underscore that because I really picked up on that, right? You guys got ahead of the market. You saw some things coming. You decided to pivot. And it was a huge risk in many ways, but you also didn't do it halfway. And you went all out, and there was some real fruit that came out of that, obviously.
We looked at ourselves a lot of times in the mirror and asked ourselves, what have we done? But that's where the language would stop, and we would then repeat back to ourselves, make it happen. We're absolutely going to make this happen. And I think by not having that cushion, it propelled us even more. But it was super rocky. But one of my favorite business quotes of all time are kind of concepts is from Think and Grow Rich. And it's 3 feet from gold. When they were digging for gold, the guy gave up. And another guy came in, bought it for 10 cents on the dollar. 3 feet further, it was the biggest gold vein they'd ever discovered in the United States, I think the world. And I constantly replay that through my mind because I think as entrepreneurs, most of us are 3 feet from gold before when we stop.
Yes.
And I just remember those final inches really count, and it can be brutal, but just keep going because we're literally always only that far.
No, wow, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. That's so true, and it resonates hugely. So then talk to us about Sovereignty and when Sovereignty started, and And by the way, for our listeners and viewers, there's really kind of an incredible story beyond just passion and purpose here, in my opinion. Amanda, your wife, is part of it. You guys are building the company. You created the vision together. You sold your home in Austin. We helped you with that. And it was giving up a lot again to go do another big vision and something that was really purpose. And it was all out to the point that, you guys even came up with a marketing plan with your team that is putting you in the RV you're in right now to travel across America with Sovereignty wrapped around it and go to all these CBD conferences, right? And cannabis conferences across the country, and really integrate in the community, report in the community, report on the industry, but also really talk about your product and get it marketed out there, right? Which is a genius idea, in my opinion. So it's just kind of a pretty amazing story in itself, and I think an inspiring story, and one that includes the love of your life as well as the purpose in your life coming together. So tell us about all that. I hope I didn't steal too much of your thunder there.
No, you hit on a couple points. So if I get distracted, let me know. I can revisit that. But Sovereignty started a couple of years ago, and we did this amazing cannabis tour in Denver. And this guy brought to my attention that cannabis has so much power from a wellness perspective, and I got so fascinated. And they were talking about cannabinoids. So we know THC and CBD, but there's 100 plus cannabinoids in the plant, and they all have different things that they are good for. And he was pointing out that one had appetite suppression. And I was just blown away because I never associated that with the cannabis plant. And wow. I wanted to dig deeper into that. And that was the inspiration originally, was how do I look at some of these other molecules besides THC and CBD to create supplements. The mission of Sovereignty, by the way, is to positively change the trajectory of people's lives. In theory, the ways that we want to do that is we want to provide content, we want to provide products, and then we want to provide action to help people with that. On the supplement side, is the products that we've created. We created ones to empower people that move mountains. And we look at those people in a broad spectrum, people that want to be great parents, people that are entrepreneurs, people that are executive directors, raising money and running these incredible nonprofits. Even we've had first responders communicate with us. Those people they move mountains. We wanted to provide supplements that significantally impacted their day and made them perform better. I have spent the past 15 years trying to hit peak performance or to level up, and I am just flabbergasted that we spent the past year and a half designing these particular products that are now delivering for us and then delivering for a lot of other people.
Nice.
But that's kind of the story. It started with cannabis, and we ended up focusing on the hemp side of cannabis, which was nationally legal. And when we looked at what we could do with that, when we paired it with a lot of other synergistic ingredients, we came up with these really amazing holistic formulas. So that's where we're at right now with Sovereignty.
Got it. And you've got two products, right? So tell us a little bit about the products real quick.
Yeah, we've got a daytime energy formula called Purpose. Absolutely incredible. A lot of people get enhanced focus, mental cognition. It's got antioxidants in it. It's got cannabinoids in it, so people that want to take CBD on a regular basis, we have that there for them, and we highly encourage that, and that helps our other ingredients work better. Most importantly on that one, we're introducing a new cannabinoid that a lot of people don't know about called CBG as in golf. With cannabinoids, the reason we chose that one, it's a very energetic cannabinoid, and a lot of our people experience this euphoric mood enhancement as a result of it. Actually, 70% of people that have tried our product have said that was one of the results that they got from it. So we're excited because two things about energy supplements, none of them that I'm aware of are effective at increasing mood. There's supplements that do that, but in an energy formula, very few companies have targeted that. And I'm glad we ended up in that, causing that. Secondly, with an energy supplement, it's really important that the supplement you're taking improves your physiology or leaves it neutral. A lot of energy supplements do not do that. Obviously, a lot of energy drinks that you would buy at gas stations and stuff, you're going to take that and you'll have energy for a period of time, but your physiology is declining. With ours, we did a lot of biofeedback testing to ensure that people's physiology was improving. And all the ingredients that we use, while you get an increase in energy, generally people's stress is going down. We measure this with our with several devices that we use, and that's a lot different than what else is out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I would 100% agree, and it sounds like that's truly one of your uniques, right? In the product and in the company, right? And anything else you want to speak into around that, as far as what you think makes the product unique, or the what you guys are providing? And I always like to ask this question of everyone, because again, for our viewers and listeners, like this constant dialogue of, what are you doing that's separating you from the competition and your companies and what you're scaling, and creating a messaging around that?
Yeah, the three uniques that we've identified that pretty much set us apart, we use really rare and high impact ingredients. So when I talk about CBG on the energy formula, when I talk about CBN on the nighttime formula, these are really rare, really expensive, high quality ingredients. And we use that across all of them. The majority of our product is, the ingredients that we use are clinically studied. And you have to pay a lot more. It's expensive to get those clinically studied ingredients, but we wanted to absolutely ensure that we were delivering the results that people were paying for. And that was a little bit of an issue on the cannabis industry. When you look at CBD, for instance, all the products out there, they're making these really broad claims. People were using it, they weren't feeling it. Well, we knew that we could deliver energy. We knew we could deliver sleep, and that people would feel the results with it if we used some of the best ingredients in the world. And that's what we ended up doing. So rare, high impact ingredients. Secondly, we have really high standards. Kind of piggybacks off of number one. We over test, especially on the cannabis side. It's not as sophisticated of an industry as your nutraceuticals. As a result of that, a lot of people are making a lot of money in that industry and really not caring about the quality of the product that they're using. And we spent astronomical amount of money. We rejected so many different inputs that we knew other people were using, that we just said, there's no way this will fit for us and our standards. And then the high standards come into play when, we look at two ingredients. One has a clinical study, it's a lot more expensive. We could probably replicate it here or use this ingredient. We decided, no, we want to make sure that our end users get that result. So we're going to take the clinically studied one. And that's different than a lot of nutraceutical companies, because they're really going for the margin, and they won't chase all of the ingredients that we use. But I think we get the result because of it. Lastly, we are all about feedback, specifically biofeedback. But when we were designing our products, we were constantly testing it, not only with, hey, how do you feel? How did you sleep? But we want measurable results with our formulas. So we bought some pretty expensive practitioner grade equipment to measure people before they took our formula, 30 minutes after, 60 minutes after, and we were watching what was going on in their body and how they were responding to it. And that's how we tested ingredients. We literally would try this whole formula, and the response wasn't the way that we wanted it to be, so we changed it out, and the next day test it again. And until we got these really impressive increases with people's bodies, that's what allowed us to kind of narrow down the formulas that we were going after. So we designed that first that way, and then we let the PhDs and the doctors and everybody look at it. Uniquely enough, my first foray into CPG, I have a passion for this, but I'm learning so much by the day. I was a little bit concerned on what the doctors were going to do with our formula when they looked at it. And to date, we haven't had one PhD or one MD change our formula. In fact, the responses that they've given us have just been, this is one of the most incredibly balanced formula we've ever seen. This is a made design. You guys, really did it correctly. And they have a lot of confidence to refer it to their clients as a result of it. So that was really awesome. And it is a little bit of a different way that some people do. One frequent question we get is, do you have clinical studies around your product? That is a reasonable question, but that's $1 million plus proposition.
Right.
Instead, we built it around clinically studied ingredients. And we did a lot of internal testing to then get verified by the people that we thought needed to have input on it. And fortunately, they didn't change a thing. And a lot of them are getting just these incredible results that they haven't seen in similar supplements.
Very nice. Very nice. And I love the way that you guys, again, as entrepreneurs, you got to figure out how to pivot and get the thing done, right? This was your workaround. And in many ways, actually sounds like not only did it solve the $1 million issue, but it actually in many ways was better. You guys are getting real-time biofeedback on the product and tweaking it as you go. And I to our listeners and viewers, I actually remember being witness to some of this in terms of just watching you guys progress through that process, right? And the software and the machinery and the equipment you were using and how you guys really, it was really amazing to watch. The other thing that this really underscores, and this is going to be my pitch for you guys real quick, just coming natural in the moment, is that the level of curation in all those three uniques sounds second to none. And to those that are listening to this, I will tell you that I always tell people Jason Crawford is the most curative human being I have ever met. He will curate everything he buys or purchases or considers to a degree that's really incredibly impressive. And I hear that same part of you in your product and your three uniques. I think that's super powerful. So, that I'm trying the product anyway, but to our viewers and listeners, buy the product. I assure you that if there's going to be an impactful product in the space that's been truly curated at a level that, can have a true impact, I would think that this would definitely be the one, knowing this man the way I do. So anyway, that's my quick pitch coming from a truly heartfelt place. And I'm looking forward to trying both Purpose and, I'm sorry, what's the second?
The other one is Dream. It's a nighttime sleep support. Yes. I tackled my two biggest problems. I wanted real healthy daytime energy and better mental cognition so that I could perform at a higher level. And secondly, I've always had sleep that I knew needed to get improved on. I think, a lot of people are in that situation whether they realize it or not. Right now, globally, we're having a sleep issue because of what's going on. And I wanted to come up with the best supplement, for my body to help me sleep better. And they piggyback off of each other because your daytime energy is a function of how well you slept. And we started real quickly realizing as we were designing, or as the formula started working, when we got the combination right, you're getting better sleep. Automatically, we were waking up, already more energized than we had been in a long time. And then to take the energy supplement on top of it, it just works better when you have that much better, more energy and kind of a better body to present that with. But the sleep formula works absolutely incredible. And again, we verify it. We're the whole team is walking out with Oura rings, all measure it, and 95% of the people respond that they get improved sleep. So it's pretty amazing to watch that. I've tried forever to impact my sleep. And it isn't until recently that I got it the most dialed in that I ever have.
Very nice. Very nice. And granted, everyone's got a different physiology and all these layers, right? But I also love the fact that you created these products in many ways for yourself. And when we create, I think as entrepreneurs, or like when we're purpose and passionate about something, that we're getting really impacted by, or that we want to create for ourselves, those often end up being the most powerful products, right? Because there really is a purpose and a passion behind it. If you're going to create it for yourself and solve the issue, you're probably solving for a lot of people.
It definitely was my hope. And a funny story along the way, I made sure that I loved the product.
Yeah.
Because in case people weren't going to buy it, I was going to make sure that I was going to at least use it for the next year or two. Unfortunately, we didn't run into that problem, and we are selling through it in a great way, but I use it every single day. I designed it to make sure I'd be confident to give it to my friends and family. And that was the start. I was like, if they love it, and my close group gets benefits from it, then I think that this could scale nationwide and potentially even internationally. And that's the path that I'm on.
Got it. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but and we'll do it again later. But you guys launched very recently on the website for sales, right?
Yep. Basically the 1st of April.
Okay. And what's the website?
Sovereignty.co.
Got it. Sovereignty.co. All right. Perfect. Awesome. So let's move it a little bit into, you've launched this company in the midst of everything that's going on right now, right? COVID, at least in Austin, different parts of the country had shut down at different times. In Austin, it was mid-March. It's been about a month now, a little past a month. How did that environment impact you guys? Obviously, you guys sounds like you launched the website on April 1. I'm sure there was maybe a conversation of, do we launch now or do we wait on the website? Walk us through all of that. And how did you guys decide as an entrepreneur, as well as, from a purpose place, a timing place, is this the right time?
Yeah, well, we did have that conversation. Was it right to launch right now or scale back and wait? And my experiences in 2008 prevailed on the decision. And that is, during a time like this, one of the best moves you can make, if you can pull it off, is to actually double down. Because everybody is scaling back. A lot of people that have large, complicated companies are having to sort out so many issues that sales and customers get kind of put to the side. I think I've certainly seen a lot of that over the past many weeks. We realized that now was actually the most opportune time, because you have to learn to survive during the hard times anyway. We had to figure out how to get people to relate with our messages and to engage with us in some way, whether it's just our content or whether they're actually buying our products. So I thought this was the perfect testing ground. I do fear that some of our competitors, may not make it, and I'm sad to hear that. I don't wish that upon anyone. Also, I think that a lot of competitors are pulling back right now, and we have basically doubled the allocation of spending that we were going to initially put out there. So I feel that this is a huge opportunity to launch a company. We adjusted our pricing to try to help people because we knew how impactful our products were. So we did something a little bit unusual for a company just starting. Normally you start off with the price kind of high and then test all your price points. We said, forget it. We're going to just try to get these into people's hands. If it helps their energy and their sleep, then that's a win for us long term. And we'll worry about the pricing a little bit later on. So we did go forward with it. The one thing that changed is we had, like you said, burned our boat again. I learned that was useful for me last time. So we sold the house, bought a 43-foot RV, wrapped it in Sovereignty, and we were going out to start this 48-state promotional tour. We were going to go to conferences, concerts, and festivals and try to get real optimal placement and basically have one-on-one conversations with people about what we're doing, because it's a complicated product. And all of that got thrown out the window. And that was several weeks ago when we were sitting in California. Every festival or conference that we were part of got canceled. Yeah. So we just figured out, how do we make the most of it? And part of it was for us to live what we were preaching. Sovereignty is about living a sovereign life. And that is not being bound by your body, mind, and spirit, to be free where you can really hit your human potential and live the life that you want to live. And all of a sudden we realized, wow, this was a gift. We get to enjoy this RV experience and utilize it in a different way. So So we just spent a lot of time grounding, working, but in a creative backdrop with beautiful places like Malibu, Sedona, and Utah, and just kind of used it as a chance to slow down, really to speed up later on down the road. But that was a change that we were not planning on making, and now we're having to really double down on the digital advertising to be successful. But we just saw it, kind of skipping around, but on that doubling down part, we knew people were going to be in front of their screen during this crisis, and we wanted to deliver quality content and messaging to be successful. But anyway, that's kind of some of the changes. That was our biggest change for COVID was our strategies and plans got tossed out the window, and we just had to figure out how to keep going.
No. And one thing I've been hearing from a lot of entrepreneurs locally, ideating whether it's within our business or what other people are doing in their business, a lot of things are thrown to the wind right now, like you said, and the best laid plans and strategies that were amazing that started in the beginning of the year for so many of us business owners, entrepreneurs are out the window. The question is, what's the pivot, right? And what is your pivot, and do it decisively and do it and move forward, because to your point, at a minimum, it's market share opportunity because other people won't move forward at some level, right? And it's an opportunity to really speak your brand at a higher level because there's maybe a little more listeners. There's more listeners. There's more mind space because there is less competition. And what I also love about all of it is it's a very contrarian thinking. And I think that in business, contrarian thinking often wins, right? Or at least it should be really highly considered. And so instead of running for the hills right now, is there opportunity to really grow right now? And that's what I'm really hearing you say. And that's the path you guys took. And by the way, for our listeners, if there's any, we're all going through some tough times at varying degrees right now, right? You guys are also doing all of this and everything you've shared with a baby on the way, right? So you guys are at about, what, 5 months now, 6 months?
No, we've only got 2 months left. We're at 7. So we commonly joke we're having twins. We basically having 2 babies this year, a physical one and then the business. And they are both very exhausting.
Yeah. So, you're 6 months into pregnancy, you've had to totally pivot into, a whole marketing strategy that was built around selling the real estate, hitting the road, going to all these festivals. And then again, I just love that, hey, COVID's happened and we're going to keep going and we're going to still make this work one way or another. And I also love your message around, hey, we know this product can help people, so we're going to get it out there, which is coming from a place of purpose. And it's also great for marketing and branding, right? I mean, that's like the second win that comes from purpose. Nice.
And I definitely want to call out my wife because she's such a trooper. We concocted this whole RV promotional tour last 4th of July. We were in the mountains and just had such a beautiful time. We kind of asked ourselves, what are we doing? And on our way back, we realized one of our most favorite times of life was when we rented an RV and went to like 4 or 5 states for 45 days and loved it. We said, we loved it so much, why don't we intertwine the business and that? So we decided to do it. And then a month or 2 later, she got pregnant. And I looked at her one day and said, hey, there's no problem with us throwing this out the window and doing something, staying in Austin and kind of living that life. And she said, absolutely not. We're totally going forward. I can do this. And I'm really excited about it. And it was her passion and belief, I think also in sovereignty that drove that. But, a big sacrifice to be in an RV environment and to be traveling a lot while you're pregnant. And then for her to have the courage to plan that out with a newborn is amazing. So I think what we often find with entrepreneurs is the person right next to us is just as big of a reason of us being successful as anything that we do. And she is certainly that to me.
That absolutely wow, that's beautifully put. And is just so incredibly true. If we don't have our foundation and support system right, it is very hard for us as entrepreneurs to succeed. And she's an entrepreneur in her own right. I mean, brilliant marketer, visionary, incredibly creative, right? So big ups to Amanda right about now for everything you said. Wanted to throw that out there. All right. So, just quick question, somewhat related to COVID. Also, are you guys, what resources, if any, are you guys delving into, looking into, relying on through this time? Obviously, one of the unique things and benefits of not having brick and mortar right now, right, is you don't have the real estate, and you've got all these leases to pay when there's no product, or you're just starting to launch. So in a way, it's pretty brilliant the way that all worked out. But what are you guys in need of, or how have you guys had to pivot to survive, and what resources are you guys using in regards to that, if any?
Yeah, one of the biggest resources that played out in a way that I couldn't have ever imagined was a group that I'm a part of called EO, our Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a group that's a worldwide organization. About 10,000 entrepreneurs are a part of it. There's an Austin chapter that's one of the most amazing groups of people that I've ever met. And to go through this with so many like-minded people that are struggling, that have a lot of the same hardships, but also don't see failure as an option, was an enormous inspiration. And to be able to sit here and bounce off ideas, who are you going to for the PPP? Are you going to do it? How are you doing it? What are ways to negotiate with landlords? I've seen all these conversations come across. I had several needs, and I reached out to that network. But just watching the Facebook group, and then the way that our local chapter is responding to make sure all of our members are taken care of and fully supported, where they can focus on their business and their family. It's just a resource that I can't even put words around. It has been so awesome. So I always highly recommend people to be part of mastermind groups, and then maybe if you're in entrepreneurship, be part of some of those quality organizations out there. And EO is one of the best ones I've ever seen, and has paid me ridiculous dividends over the past many years. Outside of that, that's been my biggest go-to is getting mentorship and help, and then offering help within that group, and then just using a lot of my stuff that I've been working on over the past couple of years to get through this from a mindset and being positive and having a lot of gratitude. It's tools that I have to constantly use because there's more pressure, both with the new business, with the collective stress that's out there. But I've relied on a lot of tools that I've been building up over the past couple of years.
Nice. Yeah, and I'm going to throw in a few, kind of echoing what you're saying. So I'm the accelerator program for EO, and very similarly, huge dividends in this time in having that resource of business owners. So my recommendation to everybody that's listening or watching this, this is a time where you have to find your community as an entrepreneur, find fellow entrepreneurs, find other organizations like that really support that conversation, because it can feel pretty lonely in this time otherwise. It's just a game changer to experience other people, what you're going through right now, even though they may be in a different industry, and ideas, as well as the hope and determination that creates is really powerful. And I've noticed the same. And I would highly recommend looking into EO in Austin, or EOA in Austin, or really anywhere you might be, wherever you're listening from. And the other thing is, some of these other practices you allude to, again, just for folks who are listening or watching, I personally do a practice that has several components, but, one component of it is heart math. I would highly recommend looking into heart math, and that app. Jason and I and a few others, we actually kind of have an accountability group around that. And for lack of a better word, it's taking 15 minutes of really centering your heart and your breathing rates and getting them aligned, and the coherence that creates in your mind space and your body space, and how that is going to then help you show up throughout your day has been a big game changer for me right now. I'm getting a lot more ideas and calmness throughout the day than I'm very clear that I wouldn't have if I'm not practicing heart math. And it is very similar to meditation in my personal opinion. I'm just not calling it that because it isn't that. And heart math will say so themselves, but look into it, please, guys. It's really, and it's only 15 minutes a morning. So it's
yeah, and on that, the resiliency that it helps with. I mean, that's one of my key tools was to really up my heart math practice.
Yeah.
Over the past period, I had been pretty good, but I'd have a lot of skip days. And over the past several months, it was one of my go-to tools for resiliency. And I think I was really able to handle the day and the stress a lot better as a result of it.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So this is I think we'll use this as our last question here. And it's an interesting one. We talk about, as entrepreneurs, we work at home so much or in some space like that. And how do we make that a really effective workspace, especially during this time, right? Because we are all relegated to home or some version of home. Your case is RV is your home. So like, I'm really interested in hearing whether it's because of that particular physical space or just in general, what do you do to really make your workspace effective for you? And how do you get into flow? What are your kind of hacks and tips around that?
Yeah. Number one, we just hit it, is starting the day with heart math because of the resiliency that it builds. And if I ever get knocked out of parents or get really disturbed, I would go right back into a 5-minute heart math session and get out of that, where I can calm my nervous system down, increase my parasympathetic nervous system, and have a real clear head to be able to address what's going on. So heart math is one of my biggest tools. Another one that Amanda and I are using a lot is called the Pomodoro technique. It's really great in workplaces, and it's so simple that it's kind of like, oh, well, I may do a version of that or whatever else, but being regimented with it is where the power comes. And it's 25 minutes on and 5 minutes off. And you literally are supposed to have a little tomato timer that times you 25 minutes. And people around you are supposed to know they cannot interrupt you during that 25 minutes, and you're going to work during that 25 minutes. You do a few sessions a day, and it really gets you into a flow of getting things done. There's an app on your iPhone called Forest that replicates the Pomodoro technique. But I learned that in an entrepreneur group, and I hadn't blocked out my time that way, or I blocked it out in this other way, but I can always sit down, revert to the 25 minutes, take my 5-minute break, get a little movement in, which I highly encourage. And that's been really effective. And then last, an odd one that doesn't fit exactly what you're asking, but it plays into it long term, is I measure my sleep. Again, how well you sleep is going to impact how well you crush your day. And I recommend measuring it somehow. I choose Aura Ring to measure mine. I think it's one of the most accurate sleep measurements out there to at least create baselines, see what impacted your sleep negatively, try to change those, and try to sleep better the next day. But you can use Fitbits, you can use apps on your iPhone there's one called Sleep Score that a guy that I know, he's a PhD, highly recommends it. Just measure it somehow, because sometimes we think we're sleeping better than we are, or we don't realize how bad we're sleeping. And changing the things that we do prior to going to sleep, really the day before or the day of going to sleep, can make a huge impact the next day. And I've just watched it. When I do all the things that lead to my best sleep routine, I perform so much better the next day. My coherence is higher, everything clicks better. And when I don't, I realize I'm really kind of behind the 8 ball on trying to bring the best that I can. So a weird recommendation, but I would say that one of the most important things you can do right now is measure your sleep and relentlessly try to improve it.
Nice. And I really appreciate hearing that. As you know, I don't sleep a whole lot, but I've actually been trying to really work on getting that or just improving that. I'm actually, believe it or not, getting close to 6 hours sometimes 6.5 hours of sleep. For those that are listening, I've been this serial, like no more than 5 hours a night, don't drink coffee, kind of a thing. And it worked for me. But I feel like there's probably a lot of prices I'm paying that I'm not realizing, including maybe in work performance. Like if I can do it well on that, what could I do if I had more sleep and my body and mind really got a chance to recuperate? So I really appreciate you saying that. Awesome. This has been incredible. Tons of insight. Love, obviously what you guys are doing with Sovereignty. I'm truly hopeful that we all go try it. I know I already will, but that everybody else does too and are inspired to, as well as just, really appreciate all the insight and advice and everything you've shared here with us and our listeners today. It's been really awesome. And of course,
thank you. Yeah, and if you want to watch this real zany journey of a pregnant wife and then soon a wife, newborn, and an entrepreneur with her and I, traveling the country, our Facebook and Instagram has a lot of posts on things that we've been doing around the RV and places that we're going and stuff like that. So check us out.
Perfect. Yeah, I was actually going to say just a quick reminder to our audience where they find you. So the website you already said, sovereignty.co, correct? And then is there specific Instagram or social media handles that we should be aware of?
The Instagram handle is sovereignty_US. And I believe the Facebook is the exact same one to find us, but you'll start seeing pictures of RVs and places we've been and all kinds of fun stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, listeners. Thanks for joining us. You can always listen to past podcasts and on the website, tarekmorshed.com. That is changing to morshedgroup.com, and everything will be pointed there. And this will be up to, and this will also go out through all the social media handles. So everybody have a good day. We will see you on the next podcast. Jason, thank you again. And we'll be talking soon.
Yeah, appreciate it. Bye.
All right. Take care.